Greetings, family, friends, and survivors. Funny, I didn't remember seeing any weather coming in from the coast today, and that's because that's not clouds. That is smoke. It's a perfectly clear day except for the smoke, and the old Biscuit fire, it's burning in the footprint of the old Biscuit Florence fire in the Kalmiopsis wilderness. It's been burning out there for 3 weeks. Last time it was burning out there in 2001. It burned 495,000 acres. That's right, 500,000 acres. And it blew up the Illinois River watershed right towards us in one afternoon, and all of the crews ran for their life and said, we'll make our last stand at the highway. It rattled them. This is back in 2001. So right here at the lake across the street from us, they had 5,000 firefighters there within just a week or two, and over 100 bulldozers, and they cut 412 miles of fire break, 100 yards wide. Yeah, it's a big fire. So when it came towards us, it was going to keep running right up the watershed. And one afternoon, when it blew and it just about overran us, the wind shifted and it went to the south, and it ran 23 miles in 3 hours. Now we've got a 23-mile long fire front, and then the normal prevailing winds from the coast started coming. So now we've got 23 miles long advancing towards our valley. Of course, I live in the mountains above the valley, but the people mostly live in the valley. So 19,000 people's lives were at risk, and there was evacuations all over. And our whole area, when they came in to put up their flagging to mark homes that were savable, were green, homes that were questionable were yellow, homes that don't even bother with them are red, and we were red, of course. We evacuated, had to move, we had more horses, and we had to evacuate everything, all the livestock, because we were on a 30-minute evac notice. We can't move your animals in 30 minutes, so you just, as soon as it gets to 30 minutes, you just got to pack it up and get out. And when you can see something go 23 miles in 3 hours, that's moving right along. Now I know down in the south, that's nothing compared to what the Santa Anas can do in the San Bernardino County of California. But those kinds of winds, I have wind in my face right now, those kinds of winds can, well, I've been down there before and seen spot fires over 5 miles, throwing spot fires out in front of itself. This particular one was throwing spot fires 1.5 miles to 3 miles in front of it. So it was a big deal. And it's burning out there again. And there are no roads. It is wilderness. There's no roads out there. And it's straight up and straight down, and it was a forest, and then so much of it burnt. And because of the pressure from the environmentalists, they wouldn't let us go in and log the burnt trees and replant it. They said, oh no, it was a lightning strike, it's natural, let it do its thing. So we lost all of that timber, 495,000 acres of timber that could have been jobs and homes being built. Now just what you have is wind and snowfalls have taken all of the millions of feet, board feet of 100 million or more board feet of timber. I know there's over 100 million, because 100 million, yeah, let's call it 300 million board feet of timber that falls over from wind and snowfall, and then has 8-foot tall brush growing on top of it. And what's burning right now is brush. And now it's, picture 495,000 acres stacked 8 feet tall in firewood and lighting it on fire. You're not going to put that out, and they're not even going to try. So they're just waiting and watching, and if it comes towards towns again, that's when they'll freak out and call in the Bore 8 bombers and more helicopters. And I've videoed them sucking water out of the lake to jump on these fires. But the truth is, right now, we're spread so thin, this monster fire out here is the least of their concern. We've got 5 other fires at my back right now, 2 to each side, blowing and growing in old growth forests. And just that way, 18 miles that way, my favorite playground is burning. The high mountain lakes off to the southeast, and those were from lightning strikes. And the funny thing is, my son's the airport manager, and one of the scout guys on his helicopter, he comes in and he records what's going on in 5 different fires, and then he reports back over in Medford what's going on, how to fight them. Here's the stats. In the process of flying back and forth, he found 7 more fires that were 50 acres each, and there is no equipment to put on these fires. So they're running, the National Forest and private contractors and ODF, Oregon Department of Forestry, are running ads on Craigslist to train firefighters this week to put them on the fire line next week. And of course, one of my friends, he's a smoke jumper in the area, and he's been a firefighter trainer for the last 20 years, I'm guessing, and he's back to work again. Even this late August, he's still training firefighters to send them out on the line. So here we go again. Cock-a-doodle-doo. What do? It's just one of those things when you live in the Pacific Northwest. Even though we had 100 inches of rain, sometimes that heavy extra rain really helps with the old growth forests. But when you get down in the lowlands, the grass is just that much taller, the brush is that much taller. So the late rains work against you in one area, but they work for you in another area. The heavy snowpack has made everything above 5,000 feet pretty wet. Still snow at 7. So the old growth national forests it's okay, because what's burning there is burning in the understory. So in an old growth forest, you have, one tree, and 100 feet away you have another tree, and the trees are 4 to 8 feet in diameter. And then there's the canopy's closed in from the top of the tree, so no sunlight gets on the ground, so there's no brush down there to burn but the pine needles. So an understory fire moves through and it purges the forest floor, but it never gets up into the crown. But when you have reprod, like what you have a mile over there on the side of that mountain, that's all reproduction trees. They're stacked in their finer than dog hair, and then it'll go from tree to tree. So you could see when they're growing like that, once it gets in the crown, any wind blows, it goes from treetop to treetop to treetop. And they've recorded that at, 100 miles an hour, depending on whatever the wind is. It can really move through the treetops. So understory fire is good in areas like my property where you don't have the ladder fuels removed. That is where brush can contact the limbs and go right on up the tree, because a lot of my property is reprod. You can see on the mountain in back. If a fire comes through here, I'll lose all of the timber, everything, because it's reproduction. If it was old growth, that wouldn't happen. But because we've come in and harvested and replanted, we have a responsibility. Sorry, I wasn't holding the camera right. Because we've cut and replanted, and messed with the natural cycle, we have a responsibility to jump on fire when it happens. Now, if everything was still old growth, it wouldn't matter. It would only be burning understory. You could just protect the farmland and when the valley interface with the national forest, and you'd be fine. But that's not the case. Now we've got to jump on fire, Because they've been foresting and putting out fires for 100 years, we're going to have to do it forever, and we can't stop. That's a given. It's expensive. It's part of the tax base, but that's what it's going to take unless America is willing to displace literally millions of people and lose billions of dollars in timber. So the problem out there in the Kalmiopsis, we have folks in Washington that believe, oh, it started by lightning. Let it run its course. Now, just like in 2001, where I have a personal friend who had a hand crew a half-mile away from that fire, Biscuit fire, and he radioed in and said, this is just a small half-acre thing, let's put it out. And they said, oh, no. We have to have the right certified crew for that. Well, all my guys are certified. And they go, yeah, but they're not staged and certified. So because of all the stinking red tape, 495,000 acres burned, and I had a friend with a hand crew right there when it started. Guess what? It just happened again. They said, well, it's burning in the old footprint, and it's too steep, and it's too dangerous. Another crew was in there doing forestry work. A hand crew was right there and could have dealt with it. And they said, no, we're going to send in our repellers. So Siskiyou repellers came in, and it was small. The couple of hand crews that were there, I'm told, could have actually stretched their hands out and held hands around the fire. It was so small. And they said, oh no, this is too steep and too dangerous. We got to get out of here. Full-blown conflagration now, again. So the politics anger me. I'm a conservationist. There's no reason to let those resources burn. No reason at all. And again, here it is, late summer, and when the winds kick up in late August, early September, that fire blows up and starts threatening communities of thousands. There, I've said my piece. There's a little bit of blue sky left over here. You can hear in the background the bear bell ringing, reminding me of the faithfulness of God. Amen, Lord. I'm upset how man handles things, but I remember there's someone much bigger than us that has all things in hand. So, a little bit of an update. Solar panels aren't doing really good in this kind of smoke. It's a good thing the batteries were full by 10:30. Well, that's it. 2017 fire update. And I'm going to go on in and have a peaceful and blessed afternoon and not worry about a thing. Hope you guys are doing good. God bless.